At precisely 11:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on December 14th, FBI Director Kash Patel's fingers moved across his phone keyboard, crafting what he believed would be a triumphant announcement. Within seconds, his message exploded across social media. FBI agents had detained a person of interest in the Brown University mass shooting. Within 3 hours, that announcement would collapse into embarrassment. Was this incompetence or recklessness? And how many times could one director destroy the credibility of America's premier law enforcement agency before the institution itself became a joke? The command post in Providence, Rhode Island, hummed with controlled chaos that Sunday morning. Computers glowed in rows along makeshift tables inside the Providence Police Department headquarters. FBI agents in dark windbreakers hunched over laptops, their faces illuminated by the pale light of satellite imagery and cellular data. Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Naronha stood in the corner, phone pressed to his ear, coordinating with Providence Mayor Brett Smiley. The room carried the distinctive smell of strong coffee and stress sweat. C-SPAN cameras weren't present. This was operational space, not theater. But every agent knew the world was watching. 2 students lay dead at Brown University. 9 others remained hospitalized, 6 in critical condition. The shooter had vanished into Providence's sprawling network of streets and alleys. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse's office in Washington received the notification at 11:42 a.m., 4 minutes after Patel's announcement. A junior staffer burst into the Rhode Island Democrats' private office in the Russell Senate office building. Director Patel just tweeted they've detained someone in Coventry. Whitehouse looked up from the briefing documents scattered across his mahogany desk. His silver hair caught the harsh overhead lighting. For a moment, his face remained expressionless. Then his jaw tightened. "Show me." The staffer turned his tablet. Whitehouse read Patel's message twice. His knuckles whitened as he gripped the desk edge. "Call Naronha's office," Whitehouse said quietly. "Now." What came next would become the 3rd catastrophic communication failure in Patel's 7-month tenure as FBI director. But this one was different. This time, a U.S. senator from the affected state was watching, waiting and keeping score. The arrest announcement spread like wildfire through American media. CNN cut into regular programming within minutes. Breaking: FBI detains suspect in Brown University massacre. Fox News led with major breakthrough in campus shooting. MSNBC's Kyron blazed, person of interest held in Rhode Island hotel. Twitter, or X as it had been rebranded, exploded. Brown shooting began trending within 7 minutes. Parents of Brown students shared tearful videos thanking the FBI. Rhode Island residents posted celebratory messages. But inside that Providence command post, something was wrong. Rhode Island State Police Captain James Rodriguez stood beside FBI Special Agent in Charge Ted Dox. Both men stared at their phones, reading Patel's tweet. Neither had authorized any announcement. More critically, neither had confirmed the detained man was actually connected to the shooting. "Did you clear this?" Rodriguez asked. "No," Doc said. His voice was flat. "Dead." Director Patel didn't ask. The man FBI agents had detained at the Coventry Hotel, a Holiday Inn Express off Route 95, sat in an interrogation room at Providence Police Headquarters. His name appeared on local news within 20 minutes. The Washington Post printed it. So did the Boston Globe. He was innocent. Completely, utterly innocent. At 2:17 p.m., Rhode Island Attorney General Naronha stood before a hastily assembled press conference. His face looked like carved stone. "The person detained this morning as a person of interest has been released," Naronha announced. There was only a quantum of evidence which justified detaining this person as a person of interest. The silence that followed felt like a physical force. Reporters began shouting questions simultaneously. Naronha raised one hand. "No further questions at this time." He walked off the platform. Behind him, the assembled press corps erupted into chaos. Patel issued no correction, no apology, No acknowledgement that his announcement had been premature, reckless, or wrong. His Twitter feed simply moved on to other topics. But Senator Sheldon Whitehouse wasn't moving on. The phone call from Whitehouse's office to Naron Ha happened at 3:45 p.m. It lasted 47 minutes. Sources close to both men described the senator's mood as controlled fury. Whitehouse had opposed Patel's nomination from the beginning. During the Senate Judiciary Committee hearings in January, the Rhode Island senator had warned his Republican colleagues with prophetic precision. "Mark my words, Mr. Patel will come back to haunt you." Now, 7 months later, those words echoed with uncomfortable accuracy. By Monday morning, Whitehouse's staff had compiled a devastating dossier. It wasn't just the Brown University fiasco. Patel's pattern of premature, false, and inflammatory announcements stretched back through his entire tenure. September 11th, the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. Patel had announced a suspect in custody within hours. Local Utah officials immediately contradicted him. No suspect had been confirmed. The actual arrest came 33 hours later, but only after Patel's false announcement had created confusion, panic, and embarrassment. The subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody, Patel had tweeted. It was a lie, an unintentional one perhaps, but in law enforcement, intentions matter far less than accuracy. Even prominent conservatives turned on him. Fox News host Laura Ingraham responded with a single word to the revelation that Patel had been wrong. Unreal. Conservative commentator Chris Rufo publicly questioned whether Patel was fit for the job. But Patel wasn't finished making mistakes. September 24th. Dallas, Texas, an ICE detention facility. A sniper opened fire just before 7 a.m., killing one detained immigrant and wounding 2 others. The shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. At 11:34 a.m., less than 5 hours after the shooting, Patel posted a photograph to Twitter. It showed an unspent bullet casing. Scrawled across it in what appeared to be blue Sharpie marker were the words, "Anti-ICE." While the investigation is ongoing, Patel wrote, an initial review of the evidence shows an ideological motive behind this attack. The backlash was immediate and bipartisan. Conservative broadcaster Eric Erickson, no friend of Democrats, publicly criticized Patel. "I just continue to think the director of the FBI should not try competing with the tweeter-in-chief, and actually let the investigators leading the investigation handle this stuff." Former Proud Boys leader Joe Biggs, serving time for his role in January 6th, posted from prison, "Stop all this clickbait shit you keep doing." Even right-wing allies were turning against him, but the most damning criticism came from law enforcement professionals. Multiple former FBI officials told reporters that sharing evidence photos during active investigations was reckless, unprecedented, and dangerous. It could compromise the investigation. It could taint potential jury pools. Most importantly, it represented an FBI director more interested in Twitter engagement than professional law enforcement. Democratic Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey summed up the growing frustration during a Senate committee meeting in early December. "I don't think he's competent or fit for that job. Under Democrat and Republican administrations, the FBI has erred on the side, when it comes to those kinds of public relations, of getting the facts right first." Inside the FBI itself, morale collapsed. A devastating 115-page report compiled by 24 active duty and retired agents described the Bureau under Patel as a rudderless ship. The assessment, leaked to the New York Post in early December, painted a portrait of institutional paralysis. "He is in over his head," one veteran agent stated in the confidential report. Another called him not very good and possibly insecure. A third warned that Patel lacks the requisite knowledge or deep understanding of all the FBI's unique and complex investigative and intelligence programs. The report detailed an incident that would become infamous within the Bureau. On September 12th, the day after Charlie Kirk's assassination, Patel flew to Provo, Utah. He refused to leave the FBI jet without an official raid jacket. Agents working the crime scene had to stop their investigation to search for a medium-sized jacket that would fit the director. When they finally produced one, belonging to a female agent, Patel noticed 2 Velcro patches were missing from the sleeves. He refused to disembark. FBI SWAT team members had to remove patches from their own uniforms and run them to Patel's aircraft. Only then would the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation step onto American soil. Critics began calling him Keystone Kash, a mocking reference to the bumbling Keystone Cops of silent film fame. California Governor Gavin Newsom posted on X, "There's a mass shooter still on the loose while Keystone Kash's defunded FBI can't catch him. But good to know he's got time to hop on a taxpayer-funded private jet to record a podcast with his girlfriend." The girlfriend comment referenced another scandal. Patel had assigned his partner, country singer Alexis Wilkins, a full-time SWAT protection detail, unprecedented for an FBI director's girlfriend. Stories circulated about Patel ordering agents to drive Wilkins's allegedly intoxicated friend home from a Nashville bar. The FBI denied the claims, but the damage to Patel's credibility continued mounting. By mid-December, White House had seen enough. On December 15th, one day after the Brown University debacle, the senator called a press conference outside FBI headquarters in Washington. The J. Edgar Hoover building's brutalist concrete facade loomed behind him as he approached the microphone cluster. Television cameras from every major network lined the plaza. The December air was cold enough to show breath. White House wore no overcoat, just his dark suit and red tie, a calculated choice to appear unbothered by the weather, focused only on his message. "Kash Patel, mark my words, will cause evil in this building behind us," White House said, his voice cutting through the winter air like a blade. "And Republicans who vote for him will rue that day." The word evil hung in the air like gun smoke. Reporters shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't typical Senate rhetoric. This was personal, angry, unprecedented. White House continued, his voice rising. "You will rue the day of this vote if it's in favor of Kash Patel, because the American people will hold you accountable, and we will make sure that the American people know about this vote." Conservative media erupted in mockery. Fox News commentators accused White House of hyperbole. Republican Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa defended Patel, calling him a crusader for FBI reform. Trump advisor Steve Cortez posted, "Did Sheldon Whitehouse come up with this pathetic line of attack at his all-white beach club?" A reference to White House's controversial membership in an exclusive Rhode Island club. But White House wasn't backing down. In closed-door Senate Judiciary Committee meetings, he pressed for access to Patel's grand jury testimony from the classified documents case against President Trump. Patel had invoked the Fifth Amendment during that testimony, a fact that troubled multiple Democratic senators. "We should be on our guard about this nominee," White House had warned during Patel's confirmation hearings. "And we should be on our guard about Trump Russia." The reference to Trump Russia was deliberate. Patel had built his reputation as chief author of the Nunes Memo, a 2018 document alleging FBI misconduct in the Russia investigation. But a Justice Department Inspector General later concluded that many of Patel's specific claims were false or misleading. The New York Times characterized his book Government Gangsters as containing multiple false statements about the FBI investigation. Patel's credibility was built on quicksand. And now, with 3 major false announcements in 3 months, that foundation was crumbling. Representative Seth Magaziner, a Democrat representing Rhode Island's 2nd District, issued a statement that crystallized the frustration. Director Patel should definitely take a lesson from local law enforcement and not jump the gun on making sensitive announcements. The phrasing was careful, polite even, but the message was clear. Patel was out of his depth. Reckless, more interested in headlines than accuracy, and the Brown University shooting remained unsolved. The gunman remained at large. While Patel flew between media appearances and podcast recordings, Rhode Island families lived in terror. By December 16th, the FBI released new photographs of a different person of interest. Patel announced this on Twitter as well, without noting that the previous person of interest had been released with no charges. The new suspect had not been detained as of December 18th. The pattern was unmistakable. Announce first, verify later, never correct, never apologize. Always move forward as if accuracy didn't matter. Legal experts began calling it the death of institutional credibility. Former FBI officials told reporters they'd never seen anything like it. Directors from both parties, Robert Mueller, James Comey, Christopher Wray, had maintained strict protocols about public communications during active investigations. Patel had thrown those protocols in the trash. "He's obsessed with social media," one veteran agent told journalists on condition of anonymity. He and Bongino, Dan Bongino, Patel's deputy director, are building their personal brands, not leading the FBI. The same leaked report described Bongino as something of a clown who should never have been considered for deputy director.